Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Gentu Product to Practice webinar. And thank you all for taking the time out to join us today. I'd like to begin today by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which we stand. And for me, I'm based in Brisbane, so that's the Turrbal people and the Uggerah people. And I'd also like to pay my respects to elders past, present, and emerging. My name is Niamh Tobin, and I am the General Manager for Product for Practice Management and Oncology. Today, we're going to have a number of people sharing product roadmap updates with you all, and that includes Bridget, who is one of the product managers in Gentu, David, who is our group Gentu product manager, and Sachandra, who is the product manager for the Gentu mobile app. Today, our main focus is those product roadmap updates. So we'll aim to give a really good overview of what has been released recently in Gentu. And then we'll also share some details about what you can expect to see become available in Gentu over the next couple of months. I'm also going to provide a bit of an update at the end on some feedback that you provided us from our recent customer survey, which was done around May-June time this year. And it's in relation to questions that we asked about the use of data and AI. And really just wanting to share with you what our commitment is with respect to that and how we plan to use these emerging technologies to solve problems for you in the future. Now, at the very end, we will have a live Q&A. So there's a box down the bottom of the webinar window, which just says chat. So if you have questions that are on your mind already, please feel free to pop them in there, and we'll aim to answer as many of them as we can as we go. And then depending on how much time we have at the end, we'll also try and go through a few of those live on screen as well, so everyone can hear the responses to those questions. Now, the session today is being recorded, so it'll be added to our YouTube channel over the next couple of days. It'll also be emailed out to all Gentu customers over the coming week or so. So if some of your team wasn't able to attend, we will be sharing the recording out with everyone as well. Now, before we go into the product roadmap updates themselves, I always want to, right click instead of left click. I always want to take the chance just to talk about our product vision so that everyone has an understanding of how we plan to help practices deliver better healthcare outcomes over the coming years. And our vision has been centered around a platform that we've been working on for a number of years now, which we see enabling us to provide innovations to you into the future. And those innovations are things that we build internally ourselves, but also it's about connecting up the tools and products that you're already using in your practice to Gentu. These innovations are really about three key objectives, which are captured within this cloud diagram. So the first one is providing a more empowered patient experience. And what we're trying to do there is provide, modern touch points for patients and really looking at automating the patient journey so that we can reduce some of the administrative burden associated with managing the admin associated with patient appointments. So things we've been doing in this space recently is really in our marketplace, and that has included the digital consents and online patient registration forms through Consentic, but also online appointment bookings through organizations like Health Engine. The second objective is how we can connect up what is a disconnected ecosystem around specialist private practices. So we know that many of you don't have access to all the data that you need at the point of care with the patients, which can make making really good quality clinical decisions challenging. We also know that there is a need to collaborate with lots of different parts of the ecosystem when you're thinking about the care of the patient. And so we've been working really in two spaces there more specifically. One is with private hospitals with our e-bookings product and trying to enable real-time collaboration around theater bookings. And the second has been working with diagnostic labs, both pathology and radiology. And again, trying to give you visibility and transparency for requests that are created where patients are up to in their journey. Our third objective is what I'll talk about a little bit more towards the end, but that is how we plan to leverage data and AI to better support your workflow. And so that will look like things like clinical decision support, workflow automation, or understanding how we can present insights back to you so that you can make decisions around your practice performance or decisions that can drive better clinical outcomes. So I'll talk about that in a bit more towards the end. Now, alongside these objectives, though, that are captured in the cloud, is also our commitment to continually uplifting the workflows in both Gentu and the mobile app. And that's the workflows that help you to book and manage appointments, get paid, and help you or support, I guess, the consulting process with patients. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to hand over to Bridget first, who's going to talk about some of the recent improvements that have occurred to those admin and those clinical workflows across Gen2. So over to you, B.
Thanks, Neve. I think I've got the lucky job today because I get to showcase all of the work that our team have been working on since we last caught up at our last webinar. So I'm very mindful. I do like to talk a lot, so I'm going to try and make sure I stay in my allotted time, and I'm going to jump straight into it so we can look at all the things that the teams have been working on. Now, the first area that we're going to highlight is the work that we've been doing within our clinical window. So the focus for one of our development teams has really been around how might we be able to make the clinical window more efficient for our users. You heard Neve just talk about how efficiency is really key for us, and it's something that we've been putting a bit of a spotlight on here at Gen2. So how can we spend less time scrolling around, navigating up and down pages, and more time on what's important, which is really just focusing on the patients. So we've incorporated a practitioner filter to allow you to be able to filter out items within the clinical categories by the associated provider who produced those items. And we've also allowed you to have a little avatar now so you can quickly see who's the actual author of that document. So instead of having to click into something, go down to the audit history and see who authored it, you now have a little avatar to display that, hopefully just reducing some of that noise when there's a whole lot of clinical history and things, especially for our multi-practices. Being able to filter out just the relevant pieces of information means it's a little less noisy, which is always a good thing. Now, whilst we've been in the clinical window, we've also made some changes to make some of these panels sticky, if you like. So you'll see at the top of the screen there, we've done some work previously, what I'm calling kind of the action bar. As you scroll down the page, would just disappear off and you couldn't just quickly add things or jump across to different tabs. So we've made that panel sticky. So now, regardless of where you are, clinical window, patient details, that will always be front and center, which is really helpful, and less scrolling, less clicking, always a good thing. We've also done the same thing with the clinical panel on the right-hand side. So things like our patient notes and measurements. Now, when you add a consult note or a letter, those are always visible. They're no longer hidden and scrolled down to below the screen. You can always have them available for you when you're doing those tasks. So just keeping it right there where you might need it. Now, we have done some work in this space, but there's more to come, and you'll hear David talk a little bit more about that later on. So watch this space. Now, as you may be, whoa, come back. Gosh, got a preview for everyone. You've already seen what's happening. Now, you might be starting to get a bit of a sense that the clinical window has been a big focus, and that does continue with this slide that you'll see on the screen. We've done some work around our measurements and being able to capture more measurements. So we've now updated the window where you add measurements. We've included things like head, waist, hip circumference, and heart rates. And we've also introduced a new Save a New button, which might not seem like a big deal, but it's a pattern that we want to start introducing to try and allow the ability to add more details quickly without having to go out and in each time. So now if you're adding in a bunch of history or historical measurements for a patient, you can add the details, Save a New, and straight away jump onto the next one instead of having to save, go out, plus sign, and come back in. So we're looking at extending that functionality across a number of areas in Gen2. So this will hopefully be the first of a few to come in that space. We've also done some work, and this has been based around feedback from customers with viewing results and allowing you to be able to understand where the results have come from. So some of the labs that send results don't always send the actual name of the labs. They might just send through like a NADA code. So we've now made it so that if they're not sending those details, at the very least, you can kind of click on a link and straight away look up that lab. So if you need to follow up with a lab and understand the results or get some more sent to you, you can now quickly jump in and do that. And we've also allowed some greater user preferences. So Gen2 will now remember how you like to review your diagnostic results. If you always want the text to be wrapped and that's your preference, that will now be remembered. So there's a bit more work coming in that kind of preferences and remembering. And again, David will talk about that a little bit later, but there's some exciting things in that space as well. Let me jump down. Okay, now in what I think has probably been one of our most popular features to date, it's been well loved already. We released our day notes feature in the day notes view of the appointment book. So this one you would have remembered if you were at the last webinar and was in the kind of coming soon pile. So I'm very happy to say that it's now out there. And it's been very, very well received. It's one of our most popular features. The survey that we sent out had the most positive feedback that we've had to date. So thank you to everyone who did take the time to have a play with it and provide that feedback. I personally read each and every one of those responses, and the feedback that you do offer to things like those in surveys that we sent out after a release really is key. So we've already had a bunch of feedback, and there's some really good points, some customer suggestions around wanting to make it available in the week view and things. So hopefully in the not too distant future, some of that extra feedback that we've gotten from customers already will be able to be incorporated into Gentu, and we can see some even greater improvements on the day notes. So really good to have that feedback. So thank you. One of the other items we mentioned in that coming soon section of our last webinar was around being able to support shared clinics, so admin staff who might be working across practices. And this is allowing people to be able to log into those multiple practices as one consolidated email address. So you'll see on the screen a little poll has popped up. If you're interested in being part of our beta, this is now available for people to start testing out and making sure it's all suitable before we launch it more publicly. But if you're an admin staff member who currently works across multiple practices, currently you have to have multiple email addresses. You might have Bridget 1, Bridget 2, and Bridget 3. No longer do you have to have all those multiple email addresses. We can consolidate them all down to one. So if you're interested, please feel free to jump on that poll and express your interest and let us know, and the team can reach out to you to follow up and get you signed up with our beta functionality there. So we jump along. All right, now radiology e-request. Again, this was another item that we mentioned in the coming soon. So I feel like we've definitely actually came soon with a lot of these items, which is awesome that we've managed to fulfill our kind of our goals in delivering a lot of this functionality. So we've now got some additional labs involved. So digital request submission really allows us to actually have that real-time status updates from the lab. So streamlines our workflows for, I guess, not just our patients, but for practitioners, labs, everyone involved is now having a much more streamlined process and hopefully a lot less manual handling for practices, labs, and the improved data accuracy and turnaround times as a result. So up until now, we've only had Sonic Radiology who've been on board with us, and you can see a number of the Sonic labs listed on the top left of that window. I'm delighted to say we now have Lumis Imaging live, so you're now able to send e-requests for Lumis Imaging. And in the very near future, South Coast Radiology will be available. It's currently in pilot as we speak, so expect them to be dropping soon. And QScan is looking to be available this side of Christmas as well. So it's been a very big back end of the year for e-requests, which is great to see, and hopefully much more streamlined process, which is always a good thing. Let's jump ahead. All right, now to wrap things up from, I guess, what's a new and improved section of Gentu, I just wanted to flag some of the stuff that it's probably not as sexy, if you like. So we've been talking a lot about all the new functionality, and there's a lot of general maintenance and other things that go on behind the scenes that don't always get the spotlight, but I think are well worth a mention because it's part of our kind of continuous improvement that we're always striving for with Gentu. So I know it was a discussion item at our last webinar. We talked about how we've been improving the performance of Gentu, and we've done that in a number of areas already. And last webinar, we covered off on some of those, but we've done some additional improvements around a number of areas and response times of different windows and things. So you should now see faster response times in a bunch of our reports, and diagnostic reports is like the most recent area that we've done some further improvements. So we'll continue on that vein. Obviously, we want to try and make Gentu as fast and as streamlined as possible. So we'll keep working on that space. But it's great that the team have been able to make some big improvements in those areas already. We've also been making a really concerted effort. I know I've talked about it a few times already, and Neve mentioned around efficiency. And one of the focuses has been around the UI improvements that we can make to the actual interface. So how can we make sure that you're doing less scrolling, less clicking? We hear it time and time again that there's too many scrolls and too many clicks for our users. So whilst we've been working on those bigger initiatives that I talked about, we've also spent time focusing on just trying to do those little things as we go along to make those efficiency improvements along the way and make that interface more user-friendly. So hopefully we're going to be getting more and more intuitive, less clicking and less scrolling in the future, but that's going to keep chipping away at that one. The other thing that we've always kind of got in the back of our mind is making sure that we're keeping up with conformance and the latest changes from Medicare and the health funds. I feel like there's a different health fund every other month. They're merging or they're consolidating or they're getting rid of a health fund. So they kind of keep us on our toes, that the health funds and Medicare do. So we've managed to kind of make sure that we've got the latest health funds, all the new fee schedules. We've obviously just had the latest November fee schedule round drop with Medicare's latest release. So always kind of behind the scenes, we're trying to make sure we get those spun around and turned around as quickly as possible so that your billing isn't impacted as we do that. So always on the go, but there's a lot happening behind the scenes that doesn't always get the spotlight, but I think important to call out and give some attention in a forum like today. Now, I feel like I've probably gone over my allotted time. I've tried to be really good, but there's just so many great things that we've actually been able to deliver this quarter. So hopefully that's a bit of a snapshot of things. Like I said, there's a lot that goes behind the scenes, but hopefully I've had a chance today to highlight some of those for you. And I'm going to hand over to David, who's going to give a bit of an update of what's coming next. So all those coming soons that I got to talk about this time, David will be able to give us a heads up of what's coming next. Over to you. Thanks, David.
Thank you, Bridget. Fantastic. Hello, everyone. My name is David. I joined Magentis and the Gen2 team here at Magentis as a group product manager about 5 or 6 months ago, and it has been a fantastic time so far. And yeah, great to see the investment in optimizing, Gen2's key workflows in the last 3 months. Very, very impressive. Now, over the next few minutes, I'll walk you through some of the exciting initiatives we are working on currently and what's coming next. And in short, I guess our focus will remain to continue make your practice operation more efficient based on your feedback. Now, let's start with the PDF forms, an initiative we announced previously, and I want to confirm that we are still working on it. Just to quickly recap, if you haven't been aware of it, we are improving the way users can complete PDF forms in Gen2, which today isn't as efficient as it could be. And for the former Genie users amongst you, that has been probably one of the biggest gaps between Genie and Gen2 to date. Now, we are now building an extensive library of PDF forms that practices can use directly. And these forms will automatically populate with existing patient information, and you will be able to email them to patients or any third-party organizations or print them out as needed. Now, this has been one of the most requested features for Gen2, and it's soon becoming available for all the users. And I want to thank everyone amongst our users who have guided us already in the design and development of this initiative when we validated early wireframes with our craft group members. So we are very close to release an early stage version of this capability with 10 of our craft group members to get further feedback and guide further development. So let's talk about appointments. So we're working on the ability to jump ahead a number of weeks in appointments, making it quicker for you to navigate when scheduling or rescheduling follow-ups. And for practices with multiple providers, we know that it can be a bit of a challenge to get a good overview of each selected practitioner in your practice. And we are introducing an appointment book scroll, which enables you to scroll horizontally across columns while maintaining the like a fixed column width, basically. And what it means is you will see less truncation of appointments, events, and practitioner names, which will then result in a better visibility and a more overall usability when navigating the appointment book. We're also doing some foundational work for user settings, as Bridget mentioned, and this will allow Gen2 to remember more of your preferences, like default Zoom settings in letter writers or viewing options in the appointment book. And once this foundation has been completed, we will be able to add greater customization in the future. So all these improvements were mentioned in our last webinar as well, and we are excited to bring them closer to release. So let's move on to the clinical window. One on top of what Bridget already spoke about and the improvements we have recently released. We continue to do more improvements, and we are about to make the clinician experience even more efficient and want to ensure the right information is where you need it. So first, we are making the right-hand panel movable, so you can rearrange components into an order that makes, I guess, sense for you and enables you to put the most important items where you want them to be and move the less relevant items out of the way. We're also enabling the complete right-hand panel to be minimized, which will give you the option to maximize the reading area when you need more space. And another exciting improvement is a new title search function we're working on, and that will allow you to type the name of a title to quicker filter clinical content, which is also a feature that has been highly requested through our Voice of Customer program. And finally, we're adding a history section, so a patient's medical history can be documented in one succinct area, and this has been a big request from physicians who want a clear separation between the current diagnosis and past conditions. So all these changes, hopefully you can see, will make the navigation and managing clinical information faster for you and more tailored to your workflow very soon. One of our product team is knee-deep in developing an eligibility assistant that performs an online check and flags items a patient isn't eligible for, or where there's a waiting period, which often can be a pain point for service providers that provide inpatient services. Now, this capability is currently in beta, and early feedback from practices has been really positive, as it's simple, basically supports practices to set expectations upfront with their patients in relation to their waiting periods, as well as reduces the risk that patients find out that they are not covered for certain procedures and asking for rescheduling or even cancellations. So what it means for you, or will mean for you, is that it can save you and your practice a lot of time, for example, ringing around the funds and the patients and hospitals. I'd also like to give you an update on our work integrating ProMedicus results available in Gentu. If you don't know who ProMedicus is, it's basically ProMedicus provides imaging software for radiology labs, and it enables clinicians to access images and create reports within an integrated workflow. Now, our goal in partnership with ProMedicus is to establish an integration that more radiology results flow directly into Gentu, so that the practice don't need to chase reports manually or upload PDFs. So overall, what that means for you is or will mean is a faster access to results and improved patient care and less admin overhead. Now, in our last webinar, we did share that ProMedicus integration was complete on Magenta's side, and that we are preparing for rollout. So the work remains complete, and ProMedicus is currently piloting our integration. So we're working very closely with ProMedicus to progress this, and we'll keep you informed as the pilot progresses and as labs come on board. Now, before we move on to onto our Gentu Marketplace and give an update on that front, I want to take a moment to acknowledge something important. We know that there are many opportunities to keep improving Gentu. Features that many of you have told us are of high value for your practice operations, whether that's in consultation workflows, clinical management, or practice administration. So on your screen, you will see a poll showing up, and I'd like to ask you to tick the topics that matter to you and your practices. To your practice most, and if you like to add additional context, you can do that in the free text box underneath. So if something is missing here from your perspective, please add this here in the free text box too. Now, I guess my key message here is that we want to assure that we hear you, and hopefully we were able to demonstrate that in this webinar with the work Bridget has spoken to us. Now, the feedback you share with us is invaluable and does guide our decisions. And we are very fortunate to have such an engaged user community. So many of these items you see are, and you spoke to us about, are already on our radar, and we know how important they are for helping you become more efficient and effective in your day-to-day work. So your voice matters, it always has, and it continues to be so, and we would love to know whether those priorities you see here for you are the right priorities, and is there anything missing? So yeah, please share your thoughts here in the poll, because we all want to make sure we're focusing on what matters most to you. All right, moving on to our marketplace. Now that's where we, if you're using our marketplace offerings, that's the place where we connect Gentu with the tools practices already use. So the aim of our Gentu Marketplace is to make the movement of data seamless, avoiding basically double entry and keeping your specialty workflows running smoothly. And since its launch about 12 months ago, its adoption is continuing to climb, which is fantastic. And thanks everyone who is taking advantage of our marketplace offering. Now, at the moment, our marketplace includes AI scribing and transcription, online booking, digital registration and consents, as well as secure messaging and incoming e-referrals and telehealth. And in our last webinar, we have mentioned that Heidi moved into a beta phase, and we are very proud to let you know that the integration with Heidi is now available for every Gentoo user. So as we continue to expand, we've got 4 new integrations in the works. We have the clinician for managing prems and prompts, as well as patient registration. This one is moving into a beta very shortly. And then we have Zeta and Fishira. I know Fishira, that's a Latin word, and I struggle to pronounce it. However, both of them are AI-powered virtual receptionists. If that is something you're interested in or already using, that one will soon become available on our marketplace as well. And then we have Open Eyes, a clinical tool designed for ophthalmology workflows and device integrations. So, of course, we're not stopping here from a marketplace perspective, and we will continue to expand on our marketplace offering. So if there are any tools that are in use within your clinical specialty and you would like to see them integrated into Gentoo, please do let us know. So that is it from me for today, and I now hand over to Suchandra, our product manager for Gentoo mobile app, who will give you the latest development in that space. So thank you very much.
Thank you, David, and how exciting of all the Gentoo updates that's happening in that land. Hello all, I'm Suchandra, the Gentoo mobile product manager. Today, I would love to share an exciting update of the mobile app regarding what's new and improved, and regarding what's upcoming for the mobile app. We heard from our users that sometimes our doctors and practitioners book meetings as events in the appointment book, but those did not appear in the Gentoo mobile app. This makes it hard for practitioners to know when they have meeting and can lead to impression that they have more availability than they actually do. We are pleased to announce that events are now displayed in the agenda view, making it easy to see all the events at a glance. Each event will show the correct details, including the title, location, and appointment type, so you have all the key information up front. Additionally, events are all color-coded based on their appointment type, helping you quickly identify and differentiate between different types of appointments. We hope that this will ensure clarity and improve the workflow efficiency when you are managing multiple schedules. We are also excited to share a new enhancement in the Gentoo mobile app that makes the managing patient information even easier. You can now view the next 2 upcoming appointments directly within the patient file. This means that you don't need to switch back to the appointment book to confirm future booking. It's all in one place and within the patient context. Additionally, the most recent past appointment is also now displayed in the patient file. This will help our users quickly reference the last visit and maintain the continuity of care without the need of any extra steps. We hope these updates are designed to save time and improve the workflow efficiency, which gives quick access to the information which you need, and especially when you need the information. Now let's look at the latest improvement we did to the patient files in the Gentoo mobile. You can now view the referring doctor details even if the patient contact information is missing. This ensures that you have the access to the critical referral information regardless of the gap in the patient data. We also renamed the View Contact Details button to say now the View Patient Details. This change is done to make the button's purpose clearer and aligns better with the information it provides. And lastly, we have also improved the behavior of the buttons to make the app more intuitive. The email button will be disabled if there is no email information available. The SMS button will be disabled if there is no mobile number. And similarly, the call button will be disabled if there is no phone number listed. These changes should improve and reduce confusion, prevent errors, and make it clear when certain actions are not available. Overall, they should improve the usability and save time for our users. Appointment book is one of the most heavily used area of our mobile app, and we receive a lot of good feedback regarding what we can improve to make it more valuable and useful to our users. So a lot of the changes are coming up in the mobile app. Firstly, we will introduce a calendar view of the appointment book. This will give you a clear visual representation of your schedule, making it easier to manage your day at a glance. Users should be able to view the gaps in the appointment book, and they can plan their day accordingly. Secondly, you will be able to view the event details directly from the calendar, whether it's a meeting or a non-clinical event, or relevant information will be just tap away. We'll also add the ability to view the procedure details and the appointment details, either through the long press of the appointment or the procedure, or through the three dots on the right-hand side of the calendar. This means that you can quickly confirm what schedule and can prepare accordingly. And finally, we will also add the ability to book appointments and events directly from the mobile app. This will streamline the process and allowing you to manage your schedule on the go without the need to switch to the web version when you are on the go and you are away from your computer. Lastly, we'll talk about a major improvement for users who are working across multiple Gen2 practices. This is in line with the update which has been shared, Bridget shared regarding the multi-practice in the web, and the experience will be in line and similar to what we'll have in the web version of the Gen2. Previously, managing multi-practices meant juggling through the different login credentials, which could be time-consuming and frustrating. With this update, you can now use a single email address to log into multiple Gen2 practices. When you log into the app with your email, you will see a list of practices that you are linked with. Simply select the practices you want to access, and you should be able to log into that practice. This enhancement should simplify access and reduce logging errors and save time for the practitioners who operate across multiple locations. Thank you so much for your time today. And there are a lot of good updates which will be coming up for our mobile app. And now I will hand it over to Neve for sharing an exciting update about AI.
Amazing. Thank you, Sachandra, David, and Bridge. It's great to see how Gentu is evolving and looking to make, the day-to-day operations for Gentu practices more efficient and connected. So now I am hoping to shift gears a little bit. And as I mentioned at the beginning, what we wanted to do was just share the results of some of the questions that we asked in our recent customer survey back in May, June, around the use of data and AI and what problems you're looking to us to solve leveraging those emerging technologies. So in the next few slides, I'll share what we've learned and also what our commitment is going to be to everyone moving forward. So in the recent survey, 2 out of 5 of you told us that you're already using AI in your practice. And that's a big shift from maybe 2 years ago, and really a massive shift in the last 12 or 18 months. So we can see that AI is really starting to gain traction, and there's much wider adoption than there was 12 months ago. But what you also shared with us was what some of your biggest concerns were. And these included transparency. So, what data are the AI systems using, and what decisions was the AI making? Is there a clear process for patient consent? The risk of errors, that the AI would give a wrong answer or do something that you didn't anticipate. And also, I guess, when you were thinking about AI tools that exist in the marketplace today at the time of the survey, it was how those tools were going to integrate across your existing workflows. And so these are all really valid concerns. And I guess what we want to do is provide reassurance that these are really guiding what it is that we're doing to support practices to leverage AI and benefit from some of those efficiency gains. Now, we also asked what you're currently using AI for in your practice. And the overwhelming response was transcription and patient notes or clinical documentation. There was a couple of people using it for social media, marketing, and for synthesizing of practice performance or clinical outcomes. But by and far, the majority is in that documentation space. So that tells us that the focus from your point of view is really on reducing the admin burden associated with clinical documentation and freeing up the time both for the practitioner but also the admin team to focus on patient care. So this feedback is shaping what we're doing. And I guess to start with, I really just wanted to share our approach on how we're going to be using data and AI to create new experiences to you guys. And this is really going to be centered around 5 key commitments that we're making. So we've recently launched our Trust Center, which is available on our website. And that talks about how we are going to create experiences that are secure, safe, and responsible with respect to the use of data and AI. Now, the first commitment is around user centricity. So what this means is that your patients and your practice are always going to come first. So every AI initiative that we pursue in the future is going to be designed to improve patient care and outcomes and not add complexity to what is already a complex task to complete day to day. We know that trust starts with clarity and transparency. So through the Trust Center and also through ongoing communications directly with you through email or in product messaging, we are committed to explaining how we will use data and AI to deliver the experiences that we create and to help your practice be more successful. We want to reassure everyone that security and patient privacy is by design. So all of our systems today are ISO 27001 certified, and we're putting in advanced safeguards and embedding privacy controls at the foundation of any of the tools or infrastructure that we're creating, which are going to be what helps us deliver these experiences for you into the future. With respect to ethical use of data, which was also something that came up on the user survey, coming back to that user centricity, we're only going to ever use data and AI to deliver better healthcare outcomes, but we also appreciate that people want confidence around this. So oversight, I guess, of the decisions of what we're doing will be provided by our Chief Medical Officer, who joined earlier this year and is an existing Gentu user, and also by a panel of clinical advisory team members. Now, that panel has a number of clinicians across a variety of specialties, both physicians and surgical practices. And between the Chief Medical Officer and that panel, they will help us to ensure that every use case that we tackle is ethically sound. And the last one is that we are committed to complying with all of the relevant regulations. So the one that people probably ask us most commonly about is the Australian privacy principles. But we are committed to complying with all regulations and also aligning with healthcare interoperability standards like FHIR and all of those things as we build out these systems into the future. So I guess that's really just responding to where your areas of concerns are and what our commitment is to you to provide secure, safe, responsible experiences that are going to help your practice be more efficient, more successful, deliver better clinical outcomes. Now, the other question that we asked in our survey was what problems you wanted us to solve leveraging data and AI. And here are the top 10 that were requested. And I'm happy to share that a number of the initiatives that we are now working on align with these top 10. So specifically, the things that we're working on at the moment fall into this bucket around health reminders, or we call it clinical decision support. And I'll talk about that in a bit more detail. And we're also now actively working on consult note summarization and generative AI, helping to create letters. And I think the areas that are of real interest to us beyond these is probably the billing automation and the post-consultation task automation. But I'll talk about the first two in a bit more detail. So our first step into proactive health reminders, has been in the form of presenting insights as dashboards back to practitioners. So we have 4 dashboards that are currently available. One is for dermatology, and that's actually focused on primarily Genie practices, but then there is these 3 in the cardiology space. So the first dashboard is an ASCVD dashboard, which helps practices track and manage patients with I'm going to butcher this, but atherosclerotic cardiovascular disease. The next is a valve patient dashboard, which gives practices a focused view on patients with valve disorders. And then finally, there's the HCM dashboard, which is monitoring patients with hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. So all of these dashboards are intended to support practices to identify and prioritize follow-up for patients. What we're doing in the background is we're using large language models to structure unstructured data that's currently stored in your systems. And so that could be data that's stored in letters, consult notes, or pathology results. And I guess we follow a list of criteria of like, how do you identify patients with a hypertrophic cardiomyopathy as an example? And that could be pulling out a diagnosis. It could be pulling out something that is in a pathology test result. And then when we have that data structured, we're then able to present a dashboard back to practitioners, which provides a list of patients which perhaps should be followed up with respect to their care. So our intent here is that they will help practices be more efficient, more targeted, more data-driven with how they think about follow-up, and that therefore gives them more time to focus on the direct patient care that follows from that one. Now, the second exciting development is to share that in October this year, we did our first pilot for an integrated AI scribe. So we have a number of AI scribes available in the marketplace. They cover ambient transcription. They also cover direct transcription. In October this year, we enabled an integrated scribe that is directly in Gentoo. And so you'll see in the screenshot here on the right-hand side that there is a Start Consult button that has been enabled. And the intent is that that Start Consult starts listening to the consultation that's occurring between the practitioner and the patient. And then very similar to the scribes that are available in the marketplace, the initial focus will be on those items that you asked for, which is consult note summarization and writing of letters. The outcomes, so that pilot was small. It was 12 practices that worked with us, again, across a variety of specialties, both physicians and surgeons. But the learnings from that pilot were really good. So what we were really focused on is, could we generate accurate consult note summary, and the accuracy result was really high with respect to capturing the transcription raw, and then also how that was structured into consult or summarized in consult notes. The second thing that we wanted to learn about is, would the letter sound like the clinician or the practitioner that was generating that letter? And the feedback from users was that it did, that it sounded more like the practitioner than the experience that they had using, I guess, external tools. And the primary reason for that is that we do have the benefit of being able to look back at past letters within Gentoo and use that to shape the output or the letter that is written from the ambient transcription that is captured. So this is a really great step forward for us. There's still lots that we want to do, but it was really great to understand that both accuracy and the tone of voice, which is what we really wanted to crack, was on track. So we are hoping to do another pilot either really close to Christmas or could be in the new year. So a poll has popped up a little while ago, which asks, are you interested in either learning more about the pilot or participating in that pilot? And if you are, please let us know, because we would love to, again, have a broader set of customers who are using this in Gentoo and helping us shape what this experience looks like in the future. This scribe is really going to be the game changer for downstream task automation. So I mentioned before that, one, I think it was 4th or 5th in your list was billing automation. And a little bit further down in your top 10 was consult task automation. So if you think about generating tasks to book follow-up appointments, generating tasks to order pathology or radiology or book a procedure. We can automate a lot of that, or we can at least do some of the heavy lifting of the admin burden that's there to book those things into Gen2. But all of that is driven from the consultation. So, really getting a great scribe happening within Gen2 is our focus today, but we are looking at how that can automate more of the tasks downstream for you in the future with links to our public roadmap. There is 2 pages on our knowledge base that are available for people. The one on the left is access to our release notes. So that's where you will find all of the information that Bridget spoke about around what have we released recently. On the right-hand side is then our public roadmap, which will just provide a summary of what David and Sachandra spoke to and what you can kind of expect over the next 3 months or so. And then I guess just a reminder of, where to get help if you need it. So we always want to make sure that you're getting the absolute most out of using Gen2. So if you have a critical issue, our support lines are open, so please give us a call. Otherwise, if it's a how-to type question, please jump on live chat or pop that question through our web form, and we'll get back to you as quick as we can. If you're just wanting to learn more about how to use Gen2 and get the most out of Gen2, there are thousands of knowledge base articles that are available, and that's available through the chat function within Gen2. We also have our tailored learning. So we're very fortunate to have trainers that are located across the country who can actually pop out to practices and do one-on-one training sessions, or do a training session remotely as well, if that's your preference. And then we do have a series of free lunch and learns. So we send out emails with those lunch and learns documented. So they're just short, sharp, how to webinars, I guess, that provide you with information to, how to make the best use out of reporting or letter writing or whatever the case might be. So please do join us for those so that we can help you get the most out of Gen.